Can true love really conquer death? Ancient Egypt answered this question 5,000 years ago. And tonight, I'm going to tell you the story of the first man ever resurrected from the dead. Where are you right now? Comment your time zone or location so I know we're traveling back in time together. And if you want to hear stories like this every night, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Now, close your eyes for a moment, relax your shoulders, and let me take you to a moonlit night in the Egyptian desert, where the Nile River still flows as gently as it has for thousands of years. Can you hear it? The wind blowing through the palm trees, the sand sliding softly across the desert surface, and far away, the dark shadows of enormous pyramids lying still under the moonlight. This is a land where time seems to have stood still, where the secrets of life and death are recorded on every stone, on every temple wall. And tonight, I'm going to tell you about Osiris, the first god-king of Egypt who died twice and was resurrected by the power of love. But this story isn't just about death and life. It's about something much deeper. It's about a question each of us asks ourselves at some point in our lives. Can love last forever? Will we ever see the ones we love again after they're gone? And is death really the end? Or is it just a new beginning? Osiris answered these questions through his own journey. And there's something that few people know, a secret I'll tell you in the middle of this story. It's the reason why Osiris couldn't fully return from the dead. Why, even though he was resurrected, he still had to leave this world forever. That secret will change how you see death, love, and the meaning of life. So stay here with me. Let me guide you through the vast deserts of Egypt, through ancient temples, through the world beyond, where souls are weighed and justice is served. And when we finish this journey, you'll understand something. That true love isn't a feeling you have and then lose. It's a force that can transcend time, transcend space, and even transcend death. Are you ready? Take one more deep breath. And now we'll begin. Chapter 1: The Nile and the Divine King. Imagine you're standing on the banks of the Nile River 5,000 years ago. The first light of a new day has just appeared on the eastern horizon. That golden light filters through thin mists rising from the water's surface. The river stretches out like a shimmering ribbon of silk, reflecting the rising sun. Can you hear it? Birds singing merrily in the palm branches along the shore. The water flowing gently, softly, as if whispering ancient stories. And there's something else. The smell of wet silt, the smell of fresh earth, the smell of life beginning. Take a deep breath. Fill your lungs with this ancient air. Feel the coolness of the morning before the desert heat arrives. This moment, right here, right now, is when the world is most alive, when the boundary between dreams and reality is thinnest, when you can almost hear the voices of those who walked here thousands of years before you. This is the land that the ancient Egyptians called Kemet, the Black Land, the land of fertility and prosperity. And all thanks to this Nile. It's not just a river, it's the lifeblood of an entire civilization. Look at it. Really look at it. The way the water catches the light, the way it moves, constant yet ever-changing. This river has witnessed empires rise and fall. It has carried the tears of mourners and the laughter of children. It has been here long before you, and it will be here long after. Every year, this river performs a miracle. It carries fertile silt from the heart of Africa, from mountains you cannot see, from lands you cannot imagine. It travels thousands of miles, gathering the richness of the earth. And then, at just the right time, it floods. Not violently, but gently, like the water spreads across the fields, covers the cracked, dry earth. And when it recedes, it leaves behind a gift. A layer of black mud, so rich, so fertile, that seeds planted in it will grow like nowhere else on earth. And then the miracle happens. Wheat sprouts, green shoots pushing through the black earth toward the sun. Barley grows tall and golden. Lotus flowers bloom on the water's surface, their petals opening to greet the dawn. Date palms bear fruit. Vegetables flourish. Life explodes in every direction. The desert, which should be dead, becomes a garden. The wasteland becomes paradise. The Egyptians believed that all of this wasn't by chance. They believed that a god had taught them how to farm, how to harvest, how to turn the desert into a garden of paradise. They believed that someone had shown them the secrets of life itself. And that god's name was Osiris. Now, let me tell you about him. But first, you must understand something. Osiris wasn't like other gods in Egyptian mythology. Most gods kept their distance. They lived in the heavens, far above the concerns of mortals. They demanded worship, required sacrifice, expected obedience. But they didn't walk among the people. They didn't feel what humans felt. They didn't understand struggle or hunger or the simple joy of a good harvest. Osiris was different. He didn't sit in a lofty heaven giving orders to humans. No. He walked among them. He worked beside them. He taught them with his own hands. Imagine a tall man, perhaps 7 feet in height, with skin a pale green like the color of new shoots pushing through earth. That green wasn't the color of sickness or death. It was the color of rebirth, of things that had been dormant coming back to life. The color of spring after a long winter. The color of hope. He wore a pure white robe that seemed to glow in the sunlight, as if woven from light itself. On his head sat the Atef crown, tall and majestic, made of white ostrich feathers standing upright on either side. In his right hand, he held the crook, the shepherd's staff, symbol of his role as protector and guide. In his left hand, the flail, representing the fertility of the land and his power to bring forth abundance. But the most special thing about Osiris wasn't his appearance. It was his eyes. Those eyes looked at you not with the cold distance of divinity, but with something else. Understanding, compassion, love. When Osiris looked at you, he saw you, not your status, not your wealth or lack of it, not your mistakes or failures. He saw your heart. He saw your potential. He saw the goodness you were capable of, even if you couldn't see it yourself. And that's why people loved him, not because they feared his power, though he was powerful. Not because he demanded it, because he never did. They loved him because he first loved them. Osiris was the first king of Egypt, though some say he ruled even before Egypt had a name. Under his guidance, this land transformed. He found people living as nomads, wandering the desert, barely surviving on what little they could hunt or gather. He taught them to settle, to observe the river, to understand its cycles, to work with nature rather than against it. He taught them how to plant seeds in neat rows, how to dig irrigation channels so that water from the Nile could reach fields far from the river's edge, how to build simple dams to control the flood, how to store grain in clay jars, sealed with wax, so that when the lean years came, and they always did, people wouldn't starve. He taught them how to make bread from wheat, how to brew beer from barley, how to press oil from flax seeds. He taught them which plants healed and which plants harmed. He taught them to build houses from mud bricks dried in the sun, homes that would shelter them from the scorching heat and the occasional cold desert nights. But Osiris taught them more than practical skills. He taught them law.
Before Osiris, when people had disputes, they settled them with violence. The stronger took from the weaker. Might made right. But Osiris said no. He established courts where disputes could be heard. He created the concept that all people, regardless of strength or status, deserved justice. He taught them to live in communities, not just families, to see their neighbors not as competitors, but as partners, to understand that when one prospered, all could prosper, to share in times of plenty, so that none would suffer in times of scarcity. Most importantly, he taught them something revolutionary, something no king before or after truly understood. He taught them that the purpose of power isn't to dominate, but to serve. That a king isn't someone who takes from the people, but someone who gives to them. That true strength lies not in how many you can conquer, but in how many you can lift up. And the people responded. They didn't just obey Osiris, they loved him. They worked harder, not because they were forced to, but because they wanted to be part of his vision. They wanted to build the world he described, a world of abundance, a world of justice, a world of peace. Can you see it? Close your eyes for a moment and really see it. Green fields stretching as far as the eye can see. Rows of wheat swaying in the breeze like waves on a golden ocean. Farmers working in those fields, their faces shining with sweat, but also with pride. They're singing work songs, their voices rising and falling in rhythm with their movements. Children run between the rows, playing, their laughter ringing out clear and pure. Women walk in groups, carrying water jars balanced on their heads, talking and laughing together. Old people sit in the shade of palm trees, telling stories to anyone who will listen. There are no armed guards patrolling. No one is hungry. No one is afraid. This is what Osiris created. This is his gift to Egypt. And in the midst of all that abundance and peace, there was a woman. Her name was Isis. She wasn't just Osiris's wife. She was his equal, his partner, his other half. In ancient Egyptian culture, gods often married their siblings to keep the divine bloodline pure. But the relationship between Osiris and Isis was more than just duty or tradition. It was love. Pure, deep, unshakable love. Isis was tall and graceful, moving with a dancer's fluidity. Her long black hair fell in waves down her back, shining like a raven's wing in the sunlight. Her eyes were dark and deep, seeming to hold ancient wisdom. On her head, she wore a crown shaped like a throne, symbol of her status as queen and goddess. But more than her physical beauty, it was her presence that drew people to her. While Osiris taught the practical arts of farming and governance, Isis taught the deeper mysteries. She was the goddess of magic,
but not the dark, harmful magic of curses and hexes. Her magic was the magic of healing, of transformation, of understanding the hidden connections between all things. She taught women how to care for their children, not just feeding and clothing them, but nurturing their spirits. She taught them about herbs and plants that could ease pain, reduce fever, help with childbirth. She taught them that knowledge was power, and that women were just as capable of wisdom as men. And she loved Osiris with a love that even other gods envied. It wasn't a passionate, consuming fire that burns bright and then dies. It was a steady flame, constant and warm. They completed each other. Where Osiris brought order and structure, Isis brought intuition and flexibility. Where he was the strong foundation, she was the beautiful architecture built upon it. Every morning they walked together along the banks of the Nile, not as king and queen surrounded by servants and guards, but simply as two people who loved each other. Osiris would stop to talk with farmers, asking about their crops, listening to their concerns, offering advice. Isis would sit with the women, holding their babies, teaching them songs to soothe crying infants, sharing remedies for common ailments. And every evening, when the sun set in the west, painting the sky in shades of orange and red and purple, they would sit together on a terrace overlooking the Nile. Sometimes they talked about the day's events. Sometimes they planned for the future, dreaming of how they could make Egypt even better. And sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence, watching the river flow, content simply to be in each other's presence. This was their life. This was their love. This was what they built together. But in every paradise, there is a serpent. In every perfect story, there is a flaw. And in this case, that flaw had a name: Set. Set was Osiris's younger brother, the god of the desert, of storms, of chaos. If you were to see him, you would know immediately that he was different from Osiris. Where Osiris moved with grace and purpose, Set moved with aggressive energy. Where Osiris's presence calmed, Set's presence agitated. Set was tall and powerfully built, muscles like coiled ropes under his skin. His face was strange, not quite human. Some said he had the head of a beast that no longer existed, a creature with long rectangular ears and a curved snout. His eyes were red as burning coals. His voice, when he spoke, was like thunder rumbling across the desert. Set wasn't evil, not at first. He had his role in the cosmic order. The desert he ruled wasn't useless wasteland. It protected Egypt from invaders. The storms he commanded brought necessary change. Chaos in small doses prevents stagnation. Set was necessary. But Set had a problem that would eventually destroy everything. He was jealous. Bitterly, consumingly jealous. Every time he saw people smiling at Osiris, every time he heard them praising his brother's wisdom, every time he watched Isis look at Osiris with love in her eyes, that jealousy grew. It started as a small seed, but he watered it with resentment and fed it with bitter thoughts, until it became a massive, choking vine that wrapped around his heart. Why? Set would think to himself during long, lonely nights in his palace in the desert. Why does Osiris get everything? Why do people love him and fear me? We're both gods. We're both sons of the sky and earth. What makes him so special? Set didn't understand that love cannot be taken by force. He didn't understand that respect must be earned, not demanded. He didn't understand that Osiris was loved because he gave of himself freely. while Set only ever thought about what he could take. And so, in the darkness of his desert palace, drinking wine to numb the pain of his jealousy, Set began to plot. At first, the thoughts were vague. Maybe Osiris will make a mistake. Maybe people will turn against him. Maybe he'll die in an accident. But gradually those thoughts became clearer, more concrete, more terrible. What if I helped Osiris die? What if I arranged an accident? What if I took what should have been mine all along? And once that thought took root, it grew quickly. Set began to plan. He was intelligent, cunning. He knew he couldn't just challenge Osiris openly. Osiris was too loved, too protected. No, it would have to be subtle, clever. Something that looked like an accident, or at worst, a tragedy that couldn't be traced back to him. And slowly, night after night, the plan took shape. A plan so cruel, so perfectly designed, that it would succeed. A plan that would change the course of history. But before I tell you about that plan, I want you to understand something. The tragedy that's about to unfold isn't just about gods and kings. It's about a truth that touches all our lives. Good people aren't always protected from evil. Sometimes the very qualities that make them good, their trust, their openness, their willingness to see the best in others, those qualities make them vulnerable.
Osiris trusted his brother. Why wouldn't he? Set was family. And Osiris believed in the fundamental goodness of people, even people as troubled as Set. That trust, that beautiful, innocent trust, was about to be betrayed in the worst way possible. But even in the tragedy that's coming, even in the darkness that's about to fall, remember this: goodness is never wasted. Love is never lost. Even when it seems like evil has won, the seeds of its own defeat have already been planted. Osiris lived with an open heart. He trusted, he loved, he gave freely, and yes, he was about to pay a terrible price for that. But his goodness didn't die with him. It lived on in the hearts of everyone he touched, in the fields he taught people to cultivate, in the laws he established, in the children born during the peace he created, in the memory of what was possible when a leader truly served the people. That kind of legacy doesn't disappear. It can't be destroyed. It can be buried, forgotten for a time, but it always finds a way to resurface. Like seeds that lie dormant through a long, hard winter, waiting for the right moment to bloom again. And now, standing here on the banks of the Nile, with the sun climbing higher in the sky, with the sounds of a peaceful, prosperous kingdom all around you, you're about to witness the moment when everything changes, when paradise is lost, when the first death enters a world that had known only life. Are you ready? Take a deep breath. Feel the warmth of the sun. Hear the river flowing. Remember this moment of peace, because in the next part of our journey, darkness is coming. But remember, darkness is never the end of the story. It's just the middle. And every story that goes through darkness can also find its way back to light. Stay with me. The hardest part of the journey is ahead. But I promise you, if you stay with me through the darkness, you'll see something miraculous. You'll see that love is stronger than death. That hope can survive even in the deepest despair. That the human spirit, or in this case, the divine spirit, can endure anything and still find a way to rise again.
Let's continue. Chapter 2. The Trap and the First Death. Tonight, Osiris's palace is ablaze with torchlight. Imagine you're standing in a long corridor, the high sandstone walls carved with images of the gods. Firelight from the torches dances, creating flickering shadows on the walls. Can you hear it? The sound of laughter echoing through the vast space, the melodious music of harps and flutes, the sound of footsteps on the cool marble floor. Tonight is a special occasion. Set is hosting a royal banquet, and he's invited all the gods and nobles of the kingdom to attend. This isn't unusual. Set has hosted banquets before, but tonight is different. Tonight, there's something in the air, a tension that most people don't notice. But if you're paying attention, if you're really listening, you can feel it. Like the moment before a storm breaks, like the silence before thunder. Osiris is there, of course. He's standing near a large window, looking out at the Nile sparkling under the moonlight. The river looks peaceful tonight, its surface like polished obsidian reflecting the stars. He's wearing his white robe, simple and elegant. On his head, the Ateth crown catches the torchlight. He looks relaxed, happy even. He has no reason to suspect anything. Why would he? This is his brother's palace. These are his friends and family around him. He is safe here, or so he thinks. Beside him is Isis, beautiful in her long white dress that flows like water when she moves. Golden bracelets gleam on her neck and arms, gifts from Osiris over the years. Each one has a story. Each one represents a moment in their life together. She's laughing at something someone said, her face radiant. But occasionally, when she thinks no one is looking, her smile fades. She glances towards Set with something in her eyes. Worry. Unease. She can't explain it, not even to herself, but something feels wrong. Women often have sharper intuition than men. They sense things that eyes cannot see. They feel disturbances in the natural order that logic cannot explain. And tonight, despite the music and laughter, despite the warm glow of torchlight and the smell of incense and roasted meats, Isis feels a cold wind blowing through her soul. She reaches out and touches Osiris's arm. He turns to her, his face questioning. "Are you all right, my love?" he asks. She wants to say no. She wants to tell him they should leave, right now, this moment. She wants to grab his hand and run from this place, but she has no reason, no evidence, just a feeling. And you can't leave a banquet, can't insult your host because of a feeling. So she forces a smile. "I'm fine," she says, "just tired." Osiris squeezes her hand gently. "We won't stay long," he promises. "Just an hour or so. Set has gone to such trouble, it would be rude to leave too early." And that's the trap, isn't it? Politeness, duty, the social obligations that bind us. Sometimes the things we think protect us, our manners, our desire not to offend, those very things become the chains that hold us in place when we should run. Now let me take you deeper into the palace. You walk through long corridors lined with columns. Each column is carved with scenes from Egypt's history, past kings, great battles, moments of triumph. The walls are painted in vibrant colors that seem to glow in the torchlight, red and blue and gold. You pass through rooms where people are dancing. Musicians sit in the corner, playing instruments you've never seen before. The music is hypnotic, repetitive, pulling you into a trance-like state. The scent of incense is thick in the air, frankincense and myrrh, expensive imports from distant lands. The smell of lotus flowers, fresh cut and placed in tall vases throughout the palace. The smell of wine, sweet and heavy. The smell of roasted meat, vegetables cooked in oil and herbs. Your senses are overwhelmed. Everywhere you look, there's something beautiful. Everywhere you turn, there's pleasure. This is excess. This is indulgence. This is Set showing off his wealth and power. And in the center of the main hall, impossible to miss, stands something extraordinary. A chest. But not just any chest. This is a work of art. It's enormous, perhaps 7 feet long and 3 feet wide. Made from cedar wood imported from Lebanon, so rare and expensive that only royalty can afford it. The wood has been polished until it gleams like dark honey. Carved into its surface are intricate patterns, scenes of the Nile, of gods and goddesses, of the journey through the underworld. The craftsmanship is exquisite, every detail perfect. And covering much of the surface are thin sheets of gold leaf, carefully applied so that the chest seems to glow with its own inner light. Precious stones, lapis lazuli and carnelian and turquoise, are inlaid along the edges. This chest is worth a fortune. It's the kind of gift that would make any king proud to receive. It's sitting on a raised platform in the center of the hall, surrounded by torches, displayed like a holy relic. People are gathered around it, admiring it, whispering to each other about how beautiful it is, wondering who will receive such a magnificent gift. And Set is standing beside it. He's dressed in his finest robes, deep red like the desert sand at sunset. His strange face is lit by torchlight, making his features seem even more beast-like. But he's smiling, a wide, generous smile. He's holding a golden cup of wine, and he seems relaxed, jovial even. The perfect host. He's moving through the crowd, greeting people, making jokes, ensuring everyone has food and drink. But if you watch closely, you'll notice something. His eyes. They keep darting to Osiris, tracking him, waiting, calculating. And finally, when the moment is right, when everyone has had enough wine to be relaxed, but not so much they're incoherent, Set moves to the center of the hall. He claps his hands. The music stops. Conversations die away. Everyone turns to look at him. "My friends," Set's voice booms out, filling the space. "Thank you all for coming tonight. It honors me to have such distinguished guests in my home." There's a murmur of appreciation. People raise their cups. Set raises his in return. "Tonight," he continues, "I want to celebrate not just our kingdom's prosperity, but also family, brotherhood, the bonds that tie us together." He looks directly at Osiris as he says this. Osiris nods, smiling, completely unsuspecting. "And to honor that," Set says, "I've had something special made. You see this chest? It took the finest craftsmen in all of Egypt 6 months to create. The wood comes from the mountains of Lebanon, the gold from Nubia, the stones from as far away as Afghanistan. It is, if I may say so, a masterpiece." People murmur agreement. They press closer to see the chest better. "And I want to give it away tonight," Set says. "To the person who deserves it most. To the person who fits it best." There's laughter at this. "Fits it?" someone asks. "What do you mean?" Set's smile widens. It's simple. A game. Anyone who can lie inside this chest perfectly, anyone who fits it exactly, that person gets to keep it. More laughter. People think this is amusing, clever even. A unique way to give away a valuable gift. They don't realize. They don't understand. That chest wasn't made randomly. It was measured. Precisely, exactly, painstakingly measured. Set had Osiris's measurements taken secretly over the course of months. Every time Osiris sat in a chair, Set's servants noted his height. When he lay down to rest, they measured his length.
When he walked past doorways, they measured his width. Inch by inch, detail by detail, Set built a profile of his brother's body. And this chest was crafted to those exact specifications.
It will fit one person perfectly. Only one person. Osiris. This is the trap. Beautiful, clever, and absolutely fatal. People begin to try. The first is a nobleman, tall and broad-shouldered. He climbs into the chest and lies down, but his feet stick out over the edge. Everyone laughs. He climbs out, shaking his head good-naturedly. Another tries. A woman this time. She's too short. When she lies in the chest, there's space above her head, space at her feet. It doesn't fit. One by one, people try. Each time there's some mismatch. Too tall, too short, too wide, too narrow. It becomes a game. People are laughing, drinking, enjoying themselves. They don't see the danger. They don't feel the trap closing. And through it all, Set watches Osiris, waiting, being patient. And finally, after a dozen people have tried, after everyone is relaxed and laughing, Set turns to his brother. "Osiris," he calls out. "Brother, you haven't tried yet. Why don't you see if it fits?" The hall falls quiet. Everyone turns to look at Osiris. There's expectation in the air. Of course Osiris should try. He's the king. He's the guest of honor. It would be strange if he didn't. Osiris laughs, sets down his wine cup, looks at Isis. She grabs his arm. Her grip is tight, too tight. "Don't," she whispers. "Why not?" he asks, confused. "I don't know," she says. Please, don't." But everyone is watching. Everyone is waiting. And Osiris doesn't want to be rude, doesn't want to insult his brother by refusing to participate in his game. He pats Isis's hand gently. "It's just a game, my love," he says. "I'll be right back." And he walks toward the chest. You're standing in the shadows, watching. You want to scream, want to run forward and stop him. But you're only an observer in this story. You can only watch as tragedy unfolds. Osiris reaches the chest.
"Only the best for my brother," he says. And there's something in his voice. Something that, if Osiris were paying attention, might have warned him. But he's not paying attention. He's focused on the chest, on the intricate carvings, on the gleam of gold in the torchlight. He places one hand on the edge and lifts himself up. Then, carefully, he lowers himself inside. He lies down, and you watch as his body fits perfectly into the space, his head at one end, his feet at the other, his shoulders exactly the width of the chest. It's as if this chest was made for him, which, of course, it was. The crowd applauds. "Look at that," someone says. "Perfect fit." The king wins. Osiris is smiling. He's about to sit up, about to climb out and claim his prize. But he never gets the chance. Because in that moment, in that split second when he's lying in the chest, vulnerable and unprepared, Set raises his hand. He snaps his fingers, and everything changes. Men burst from the crowd, not guests, guards, soldiers. Men Set is paid, men he's promised wealth and power, men who have no loyalty to Osiris. They rush toward the chest. Before anyone can react, before anyone understands what's happening, they grab the lid. The heavy cedar lid that's been leaning against the platform, and they slam it down. The sound echoes through the hall like thunder. Boom. And then chaos.
Isis screams. She's running toward the chest, her dress flying out behind her. But Set's men are faster. They grab her, hold her back. She's fighting them, clawing at them, screaming Osiris's name. Other guests are confused, frozen. Some think this is part of the game. Others are beginning to realize something terrible is happening. And from inside the chest comes pounding, Osiris's fists against the lid, his voice, muffled but audible. "What are you doing? Let me out." "Set, Set, what's happening?" But Set isn't listening. He's barking orders. "Nail it shut, now." And his men produce hammers and nails, long iron nails, pre-prepared for this moment. And they begin to drive them in. One nail, then another, then another. The sound is terrible. Metal striking metal. The crunch as nails pierce wood. And with each nail, Osiris's voice becomes more desperate. "Stop. Please. Brother. Why are you doing this?" But there's no answer. Just more nails. More hammering. The pounding from inside the chest is becoming weaker. The air inside is limited. Osiris is suffocating. Isis is screaming, begging. The guests are in shock. Some are trying to intervene, but Set's guards hold them back with drawn swords. This is treason. This is murder. But it's happening so fast, so efficiently, that by the time people understand what's occurring, it's already too late. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, but is probably only minutes, the hammering stops. The chest is sealed. 40 nails, maybe 50, driven through the lid into the base. There's no way to open it from the inside. No way to escape. The pounding from inside has stopped. Either Osiris is unconscious from lack of air, or he's given up, conserving his breath. Either way, he's trapped. Set walks over to Isis. She's being held by two large guards. Tears are streaming down her face. Her voice is raw from screaming. "Why?" she asks. "Why would you do this?" Set looks at her with something almost like pity. "Because I deserve to rule," he says. "Because I'm tired of being second. Because this is my time." And then he turns away, addresses his men. "Take it to the river," he orders. "Throw it in." "No," Isis screams. "No, please, please don't." She's struggling so hard that the guards can barely hold her. But they do, and 4 strong men lift the chest. It's heavy. Cedar wood and gold, and now, a man inside. They carry it out of the palace, through the halls, down the steps, into the cool night air. You follow. You have to. You have to see what happens next, even though you dread it. They carry the moon has set. Only stars light the scene. The water looks black, bottomless. And with a count of 3, with a mighty heave, they throw the chest into the river. It hits with a tremendous splash. Water erupts into the air. For a moment, the chest bobs on the surface. You can see it clearly in the starlight. That beautiful, terrible chest. And then, slowly, it begins to sink. The cedar wood is too heavy. The gold weighs it down. Water is seeping in through the gaps around the nails, and it goes down, inch by inch, disappearing into the black water. Within minutes, it's gone, as if it never existed, as if this whole night was just a nightmare. But it's not. Back at the palace, Isis has finally broken free. She runs to the riverbank, but she's too late. The chest is gone.
The river shows no sign of what just happened. Its surface is smooth and dark. Isis falls to her knees in the mud. She's making sounds that aren't quite human, sounds of grief so deep that language can't contain them. And far away, drifting with the current, carried by the slow but relentless flow of the Nile, the chest moves downstream. Inside, in the darkness, Osiris is dying. Or perhaps already dead. The air is gone. The water is seeping in. And the man who was a king, who was a god, who brought prosperity and peace to an entire civilization, is drowning in the dark. This is the first death. But as terrible as it is, as final as it seems, it's not the end. Because Set has made a mistake, a crucial mistake that will eventually lead to his downfall. He's underestimated love. He thinks that by killing Osiris, by throwing him into the river, by scattering him away from everything he knew, he's won. He thinks power is the only thing that matters. He thinks fear will keep people loyal. But he's wrong. Because love is stronger than death. And Isis's love for Osiris is the stronger than fear or power or even death itself. And that love is about to begin a journey that will change everything. So, even though we've just witnessed a murder, even though we've seen evil triumph, remember this: darkness is never the end. It's only the middle, and the dawn always comes. If you see the image of the chest drifting on the Nile appearing in your mind, comment yes, so I know that you're seeing what I'm seeing, that you're feeling what I'm feeling. And now, take a deep breath, because what happens next will show you what true love really looks like. When everything has been lost, when hope seems dead, when darkness surrounds, love still finds a way to shine. Stay with me. Chapter 3. Isis's Journey. Seeking in Desperation. Dawn breaks over the land of Egypt once again. Golden light filters through the clouds, shining down on the Nile River flowing gently. Birds begin to sing, fields begin to awaken. Life continues, as if nothing happened. As if a king didn't just die. As if the world didn't just change forever. But for Isis, everything has changed. Imagine you're standing beside her on the banks of the Nile, where the chest disappeared into the dark water just hours ago. The morning breeze blows gently, carrying the scent of river water, the smell of wet mud, the smell of life beginning. But there's another smell too, the smell of grief. Raw, unbearable, all-consuming. Isis is kneeling on the riverbank. Her white dress, so beautiful just last night, is now stained with mud and river water. Her hair, usually so carefully arranged, hangs loose around her face. Her hands are pressed into the wet earth, as if she's trying to reach through it, down into the river, down to where Osiris is. But he's not here anymore. The current has taken him. Where, she doesn't know. But she will find out. She will find him. This isn't a decision she makes consciously. It's not something she thinks about logically. It's deeper than thought, more fundamental than choice. It's simply what she must do. Like breathing, like your heart beating. Finding Osiris is now her only purpose, her only reason to exist. Slowly, she stands. Her legs are shaky. She hasn't slept. She's been here all night, staring at the water, as if by sheer force of will she could make the chest rise back to the surface. But it didn't. And now the sun is rising.
and she understands that sitting here won't bring him back. She has to move, has to act, has to begin. Behind her, in the palace, Set is declaring himself king. He's sitting on Osiris's throne, wearing Osiris's crown, speaking Osiris's words about peace and prosperity, though everyone knows they're lies in his mouth. Some people resist, some speak out against him, but Set's guards silence them quickly. Fear is a powerful tool, and Set wields it expertly. But Isis doesn't care about any of that, doesn't care about the throne or the kingdom or politics. She only cares about one thing, one person, and she begins to walk. You walk with her. Your feet touch the warm sand, being gradually heated by the rising sun. Isis is following the river downstream, following the current, following the path the chest must have taken. She asks everyone she meets, "Have you seen a chest, a beautiful cedar chest with gold on it, floating down the river?" Most people shake their heads. Some look at her with pity. Some recognize her as the queen and bow, confused about why she's walking alone, disheveled, asking strange questions. But a few have seen something. "Yes," a fisherman tells her, "early this morning, before dawn, I saw something large floating past. It was too dark to see clearly, but it could have been what you describe. It was heading downstream, toward the sea." Toward the sea. That means it could be anywhere. The Nile flows for hundreds of miles. It passes through dozens of villages and towns. It eventually empties into the Mediterranean. The chest could be anywhere along that vast distance. Most people would give up, would say it's impossible, would accept the loss and try to move on. But Isis isn't most people. She thanks the fisherman, and she continues walking. The sun climbs higher. The heat becomes intense. Egypt in summer is brutal. The sun beats down like a hammer. The sand reflects the heat back up. The air shimmers. Most people stay inside during the hottest part of the day, but Isis keeps walking. Her feet burn in the hot sand. Sweat soaks through her dress. Her lips crack from thirst, but she doesn't stop. She drinks from the river when she needs to. She eats whatever food kind villagers offer her, and she walks, day after day, village after village, always asking the same question, always getting mostly the same answer. "No, we haven't seen anything like that." But occasionally someone has. "Yes, I saw something floating past 3 days ago. Yes, my son mentioned seeing a chest in the water. Yes, the current carried something unusual downstream last week." And each time Isis's heart leaps. Each confirmation that she's on the right path gives her strength to continue. But the trail is growing cold. Days have passed, then weeks. The chest is far ahead of her now. Maybe it's already reached the sea. Maybe it's sunk. Maybe it's been found by someone who doesn't know what it contains. Maybe. The uncertainty is torture, but still, she walks. You watch her over these days and weeks. You see the toll it takes. Her face becomes gaunt, her eyes hollow, her body thin. She's not eating enough, not sleeping enough. She's pushing herself beyond what any person should endure. But there's something else you notice too. A strength in her that wasn't there before. A determination that's almost frightening in its intensity. Grief has transformed her. It's burned away everything non-essential. All the social niceties, all the royal protocols, all the petty concerns that occupy most people's minds. Gone. All that's left is the core of who she is, and that core is love. pure, unwavering, unstoppable. She passes through villages where people have never seen a goddess before. They don't recognize her. To them, she's just another traveler, a woman alone, which is unusual and slightly scandalous. "Where is your husband?" they ask. "Where is your family? Why are you traveling alone?" She doesn't answer, doesn't explain, just asks her question. "Have you seen a chest?" and moves on. Some people try to help. They offer her shelter, food, a place to rest, and sometimes she accepts. But never for long, never more than one night. Because every moment she's not moving is a moment the chest is getting farther away. And then, after weeks of walking, after her feet are blistered and bleeding, after she's asked her question 1,000 times, she gets a different answer. A woman in a small fishing village, old and weathered by sun and hard work, nods. "Yes," she says, "I remember that. It was strange. A beautiful chest floating down the river. My grandson tried to catch it, but the current was too strong. It kept going. But I heard later, from traders who came from the north, that something like that washed up on the shore near Byblos." Byblos. That's not even in Egypt anymore. That's Phoenicia, a foreign land. Days, maybe weeks of travel from here. Isis doesn't hesitate. "Thank you," she says, and she turns north. The journey to Byblos is harder than anything she's done so far. She has to leave the Nile, her guide and companion all these weeks. She has to cross desert, then hills, then finally reach the coast and follow it north. She has no money, no resources. She walks when she can. When she can't walk anymore, she hitches rides with caravans. She works for her passage. She, a goddess, a queen, grinds grain and carries water and mends clothes for merchants who don't know who she is. And she doesn't tell them, because none of that matters. Titles, status, power, they're all illusions. The only thing that's real is love. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, she reaches Byblos. It's a coastal city, prosperous from trade. Ships come and go constantly. The air smells of salt and fish and exotic spices from faraway lands. And she asks her question again. "Have you seen a chest? A beautiful cedar chest with gold on it?" And yes, people have seen it. It washed up on the shore several weeks ago, they tell her. It was caught in the roots of a tamarisk tree. And then the strangest thing happened. That tree, overnight, grew enormous. It grew around the chest, encasing it completely in its trunk. The king heard about this miracle tree and had it cut down. He was so impressed by its size and beauty that he had it made into a pillar, the central pillar in his palace. Isis's heart is pounding. A pillar in the king's palace. Osiris is in the king's palace. She's found him. After all this time, after all these miles, she's found him. But she can't just walk into a foreign palace and demand they give her their pillar. She has to be clever, patient, strategic. So she does something unexpected. She disguises herself. She uses her magic to change her appearance, to make herself look like an ordinary woman, not a goddess, not a queen, just a servant. And she goes to the palace. She waits near the gardens where the palace servants come to draw water. And when the queen's handmaidens come out, she approaches them. She strikes up a conversation. She's charming, warm, friendly. She compliments their hair. And then, almost casually, she she offers to braid it for them in a new style. They agree. Why not? And as Isis works on their hair, she does something subtle. She breathes on them, and her breath carries magic. Not harmful magic, just a beautiful fragrance. A scent so lovely, so intoxicating, that it clings to them. When the handmaidens return to the palace, everyone notices. What is that amazing smell? Where did it come from? The handmaidens explain about the woman by the well. The queen is intrigued. She orders that this woman be brought to the palace, and just like that, Isis is inside. The queen is impressed by Isis. There's something about her, something noble, wise, calming. She doesn't know she's talking to a goddess, but she senses that this is no ordinary servant. The queen has recently given birth to a son, and she's looking for a nursemaid, someone to help care for the child. Would you be interested? She asks Isis. Isis agrees immediately. This is perfect. It gets her into the palace, gives her access, gives her time. And so Isis becomes the nursemaid to the Prince of Byblos. She cares for him during the day, feeds him, rocks him to sleep, sings to him. And she's good at it. Of course she is. She's the goddess of motherhood. The baby thrives under her care. But at night, when the palace sleeps, Isis does something else. She goes to the great hall, to the central pillar, the pillar made from the tamarisk tree that grew around the chest that contains Osiris. She places her hands on it, feels the wood, warm, solid, and she knows he's in there, just inches away. Separated from her by wood, by death, by the cruelty of fate, she whispers to him, "I'm here, my love. I found you. I'll bring you home. I promise." This goes on for weeks. During the day, she's the perfect nursemaid, kind, gentle, devoted. At night, she visits the pillar, planning, preparing, gathering her courage for what she needs to do next. And then one night, she makes a decision. She takes the prince, the baby she's been caring for, and she lays him in the fireplace. The fireplace is lit, flames are burning, but she uses her magic to protect him. The flames don't harm him. Instead, they burn away his mortality. This is an ancient ritual, a way to make a mortal child immortal. She's giving the queen's son a gift, the greatest gift. But the queen doesn't know that. The queen comes into the room and sees her baby in the fire, snatches the child from the flames. "What are you doing? You're trying to kill my son." "No," Isis says, and she lets her disguise fall away. Her true form is revealed. The goddess, radiant, powerful, terrible in her beauty. "I am Isis," she says, "goddess of magic, queen of Egypt. I was making your son immortal, giving him eternal life. But you've interrupted the ritual. Now it cannot be completed." The queen falls to her knees, terrified, awed. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Isis looks at her. This woman is a mother, just like she is a wife. They both love those they care for. She cannot blame the queen for protecting her child. "It's all right," Isis says. "But I need something from you. That pillar in your hall. I need it." The queen doesn't understand. The pillar? Why? "Because inside that pillar," Isis says, "is the man I love, my husband, the king of Egypt. He was murdered by his brother, thrown into the Nile. The chest that contained him washed up on your shore. The tree grew around it. And now he's inside that pillar. And I need to take him home. The queen is shocked. She confers with her husband, the king. They're moved by Isis's story, by her love, by her determination. They agree. Take the pillar, they say. Take it and go. We're honored to have been part of your journey, even unknowingly. And so the pillar is cut down, carefully, reverently, and the wood is stripped away, layer by layer, until finally the chest is revealed, still sealed, still intact. And Isis holds it, finally, after all this time, after all these miles, after all this grief. She holds her husband. She weeps. Not tears of sadness, tears of relief, of triumph, of love. I found you, she whispers. I told you I would find you. And now I'm taking you home. The journey back to Egypt is long, but she doesn't care. She's not alone anymore. After months away, she returns to Egypt. She takes the chest to a sacred place, a temple hidden deep in the marshlands, away from Set, away from danger. She places it gently on a stone altar, and she begins to remove the nails, one by one, carefully. Each nail is a barrier between her and Osiris. Each one removed brings her closer. Finally, the last nail comes free. She lifts the lid, and she sees him, Osiris, after all this time. His skin is pale, his eyes are closed, he's not breathing. He's been dead for months now, but he's here, he's whole, and he's hers. She climbs into the chest beside him, lies next to him, puts her head on his chest, and she cries. Long, deep. The kind of crying that empties you out, that purges the grief and fear and exhaustion of months. And in that moment, lying there in the chest with her dead husband, surrounded by darkness, Isis makes a vow. This isn't over. Death will not have the final word. Love is stronger than death, and she will prove it. If you're still with me, if you're feeling this journey in your heart, take a moment. Breathe. Feel the weight of what we've just witnessed. One woman, walking across a country, crossing into foreign lands, working, suffering, never giving up. All for love. That's the power we're talking about. That's what true devotion looks like. Not the easy declarations, not the romantic gestures when everything is perfect, but the hard, painful, relentless pursuit. The refusal to accept defeat. The determination to find what was lost, no matter the cost. Isis has found Osiris. But the journey isn't over. In fact, the hardest part is yet to come. Because Set is about to discover what she's done. And he won't allow it. Stay with me. Chapter 4. Set returns. The second death. Tonight, the moon is cold in the Egyptian sky. Imagine you're standing in the darkness, where moonlight shines down, creating long shadows on the desert sand. There's something wrong. A feeling as if something evil is approaching. The wind blowing through the desert sounds like the breathing of a giant beast. The sand sliding across the ground sounds like footsteps stalking. And far away, you hear wolves howling. A long, mournful howl, as if they're signaling something. As if they know that tonight, something terrible is going to happen. Isis has accomplished the impossible. After months of searching, after crossing deserts and foreign lands, After working as a servant in a strange palace, she has found Osiris. She has brought him back to Egypt. And now, in this hidden temple deep in the marshlands, surrounded by tall reeds that hide her from the world, she has him safe. Or so she thinks. The temple is small, ancient, forgotten by most people. Its stone walls are crumbling in places. The roof has gaps where moonlight streams through. But it's secluded, secret. No one comes here anymore. It's the perfect hiding place. The chest sits on a stone altar in the center of the temple. Isis has opened it. She's cleaned Osiris's body with sacred water from the Nile. She's dressed him in fresh white linen. She's anointed him with oils and perfumes. She's treating him with the reverence he deserves, with the love she's carried all these miles. She knows she needs to perform the proper burial rituals, to mummify him according to tradition, to give him the ceremonies that will allow his soul to travel safely to the afterlife. But she can't do that yet. Not while Set rules. Set has declared himself king now. He sits on Osiris's throne. He wears the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. He's rewritten history, telling people that Osiris died in an accident, that he's the rightful successor. Some people believe him. Most don't, but they're too afraid to speak out. So Isis waits. She's gathering the materials she needs. The natron salt for preservation, the sacred oils, the amulets and charms, the bandages. Everything must be perfect.
Osiris deserves nothing less.
Tonight, she's gone to a nearby village to obtain some of these items. She's been careful. She's disguised herself. She's told no one where the temple is. She's made sure she wasn't followed. But she's underestimated Set. She's underestimated how desperately he wants to ensure Osiris never returns. How paranoid he's become. How many spies he's sent out, watching, listening, searching for any sign of Isis. Because Set knows something that Isis doesn't fully understand yet. As long as Osiris's body exists, as long as it can be properly buried with the right rituals, there's a chance. A small chance, perhaps. But in the world of Egyptian magic, of gods and souls and the thin veil between life and death, even a small chance is too much risk. Set needs Osiris destroyed. Completely. Utterly. So thoroughly that there's no possibility of return. And his spies have been watching Isis, following her movements, noting her disguises, tracking her back to the marshlands, back to the hidden temple. And tonight, while Isis is away gathering supplies, Set comes. You're standing in the temple, watching over Osiris. You see the moonlight streaming through the broken roof. You hear the wind whispering through the reeds outside. You smell the incense Isis burned earlier, its sweet smoke still lingering in the air. And then, you hear something else. Footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Coming closer. The reeds outside rustle, not from wind, from something pushing through them, someone approaching. Your heart starts to pound. You want to warn Isis, want to protect Osiris, but you're only an observer, only a witness to this ancient tragedy. The temple entrance darkens. A figure steps through. Tall, broad, moving with aggressive purpose. And even before he steps into the moonlight, you know who it is. You can feel it. The air itself seems to crackle with malice. Set. He stands in the doorway for a moment, letting his eyes adjust to the dimness. Then he sees the chest, sees the body lying in it. And his face, that strange animal face, twists into an expression of rage. So, he says, his voice like grinding stone. She found you. I should have known. My dear sister-in-law is nothing if not persistent. He walks toward the altar, slowly, like a predator approaching wounded prey. I threw you into the Nile, he continues, talking to Osiris's body as if it can hear him. I sealed you in that chest. I watched it sink. I thought that would be enough. He's standing beside the chest now, looking down at Osiris's face, that peaceful, beautiful face. But it wasn't enough, was it? Set says. Isis found you. She always was the clever one, the resourceful one. He reaches out and touches Osiris's face, not gently, with something like disgust. You still look regal, brother, even in death. Still have that noble bearing. That's what I could never forgive, you know. Not your power, not your popularity, but that you made it look easy. That you made goodness seem natural. That you made people love you without even trying. Set's hand moves to Osiris's throat. For a moment you think he's going to strangle him, even though Osiris is already dead. But then he pulls his hand back, laughs, a cold, bitter laugh. What am I doing? You're already dead, already beaten. I won. I'm king now. I have everything you had, everything you were. But even as he says it, you can hear the hollowness in his voice. He doesn't sound like someone who won. He sounds like someone who's still fighting, still afraid. And then he says something that reveals the truth. But as long as you exist, he whispers, as long as your body can be found, can be buried properly, can be honored, you're still a threat. The people loved you. They still love you. If Isis gives you the proper burial, if your soul goes to the afterlife as a righteous king, you become even more powerful than before. You become a martyr, a symbol. And I cannot allow that. He steps, looks around the temple, sees what Isis has gathered, the oils, the linens, the preparations for burial. She was going to make you immortal, Set says, was going to give you the ceremonies, was going to send you to the hall of judgment where, no doubt, your heart would be weighed and found pure, where you'd be welcomed by the gods, where you'd rule in the afterlife as you ruled here. He shakes his head. No, that cannot happen. There's only one way to ensure it doesn't. And he draws his sword. The blade gleams in the moonlight, long, sharp, deadly. And before you can process what's about to happen, he swings it down. The sound is terrible, metal through flesh and bone. Osiris's body jerks with the impact, but of course he doesn't cry out, doesn't feel pain. He's already dead. But Set doesn't stop with one cut. He's methodical, systematic, brutal. He cuts Osiris into pieces, not randomly, but deliberately, separating the body at the joints, the arms, the legs, the torso, each piece carefully severed. You want to look away, want to close your eyes, but you can't. You're forced to witness this desecration, this ultimate violation. When he's done, Osiris's body is in 14 pieces, 14 separate parts that were once a whole person, a king, a god, a husband. And Set looks at his work with satisfaction. Now, he says, now we'll see if Isis's love can overcome this. He begins gathering the pieces, wrapping each one in cloth, placing them in a sack he's brought with him. And then he leaves the temple, carries the sack out into the night. And you follow, you have to. You have to see what he does next. Set walks through the night, through
through the marshlands, back toward the desert. And as he walks, he does something unthinkable. He throws the pieces away. Not all in one place, but scattered, spread across the entire length and breadth of Egypt. He throws one piece into the Nile. It sinks into the dark water. Perhaps a crocodile will eat it.
Perhaps it will be buried in river mud. Perhaps it will float all the way to the sea. He throws another piece far into the desert, buries it in sand that shifts with every wind. That will be impossible to find. One piece goes into a swamp, another into a cave in the mountains, another into a field where it will be plowed under, another into a forest. One by one, systematically, deliberately, he spreads Osiris across Egypt, each piece miles from the next, some in places so remote that no one will ever venture there, others in places where they'll be found, but not recognized, not identified. By the time he's finished, as dawn begins to break, Set has ensured that Osiris is not just dead. He's unmade, dissolved, scattered so thoroughly that putting him back together seems impossible. Set stands on a hill looking out over Egypt as the sun rises. His Egypt now, his kingdom. And he smiles. "Let's see Isis find him now," he says to the morning. "Let's see love overcome this." And he walks back to his palace, back to his stolen throne, back to his hollow victory. Meanwhile, Isis returns to the temple just as the sun is fully up. She's tired but satisfied. She's gathered everything she needs. She's ready to begin the burial rites. She steps through the temple entrance, and immediately she knows something is wrong. The smell. Not incense anymore, but blood. Fresh, copper sharp in the morning air. She runs to the altar. The chest is still there, but it's empty. Well, not quite empty. There's blood, pooled in the bottom, splattered on the sides. And something else. Small pieces, fragments, things that might be skin or tissue. But Osiris is gone. She looks around frantically. Perhaps he's been moved. Perhaps someone came to help and took him somewhere safer. But deep down, she knows. She knows what happened. She sees the footprints in the dust. Large, heavy. Set's footprints. She sees the marks where something was dragged. Set found him. And Set did something terrible. She falls to her knees, not in front of the chest this time, just there, in the middle of the temple floor. And for a moment, just a moment, she can't breathe, can't think, can't process what this means, all of it. All of those months of searching, all of those miles walked, all of that suffering and determination and hope. For what? To have Osiris taken from her again. And this time it's worse, because she knows what Set did. She knows that Osiris wasn't just taken. He was destroyed, dismembered, scattered. How do you come back from that? How do you even begin? Most people would break. Most people would curl up and give up and let grief consume them. Most people would say, "This is too much. I can't do this again. I don't have the strength." But Isis is not most people. After that moment of shock, of overwhelming despair, something else happens. Something shifts inside her. The grief transforms. It doesn't disappear, but it changes. It becomes something else. Determination, fury, a resolution so strong that it's almost frightening. She stands up, wipes her eyes, looks at the empty chest, and she speaks, out loud, to Osiris, to Set, to the gods, to the universe itself. "You think this will stop me?" she says. "You think scattering him will make me give up?" Her voice is shaking, but not with weakness, with power, with conviction, with something that sounds almost like rage. "You don't understand," she says. "You've never understood. This isn't about the body. It's about love. And love doesn't quit. Love doesn't calculate the odds and decide it's not worth it. Love doesn't say, 'This is too hard, I'm done.'" She walks to the chest, places her hands on its edge, looks down at the blood and fragments. "If he's in 14 pieces," she says, "then I'll find 14 pieces. If he's scattered across Egypt, then I'll search all of Egypt. If it takes the rest of my life, then that's what it takes. Because he's worth it. Because this is what love does." She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and when she opens them again, there's no more tears. Just clarity. Just purpose. She knows what she has to do, and she will do it, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it is, no matter how many times Set tries to stop her. Because love is stronger than hatred. Hope is stronger than despair. And determination is stronger than any obstacle. So she leaves the temple, steps out into the bright morning, and she begins again. If you're still listening, if you're still with me on this journey, if your heart feels heavy after witnessing this cruelty, write calm. Just that one word, so I know you need a moment. So I know you understand the weight of what we're seeing. Because what comes next is going to show you something profound. Something that will change how you see persistence, how you see dedication, how you see love. Isis is about to do something that no one has ever done before. She's going to gather the pieces, one by one, across the entire country. And in doing so, she's going to prove that nothing is truly lost if you're willing to search for it. That nothing is truly broken if you're willing to put it back together. That love really can conquer anything. Even this. Even death. Even destruction so complete, it seems final. Stay with me. The journey continues. Chapter 5. The Power of Love, Gathering Each Piece. Dawn rises over the land of Egypt once more. Golden light filters through the clouds, shining down on the Nile River flowing gently. Birds begin to sing. Fields begin to awaken. Life continues, as if nothing happened. But for Isis, everything has changed again. And yet, paradoxically, nothing has changed. Her purpose remains the same. Find Osiris. Bring him home. The only difference now is the scale of the task. Before, she was looking for one chest. Now, she's looking for no direction, no clues, just faith. And love. And an unbreakable determination. Imagine you're standing beside her on the banks of the Nile once more, where this whole journey began, where she watched the chest disappear into dark water all those months ago. The morning breeze blows gently, carrying the scent of river water, the smell of wet mud, the smell of life beginning. Isis stands there, looking out at the river stretching to the horizon. Her face no longer has tears, no longer shows the raw grief of last night. Instead, there's something else, a quiet strength, a calm that comes not from not feeling pain, but from accepting it, from deciding that pain will not stop her, will not define her, will not defeat her. She knows what she must do, and she knows it will be harder than anything she's done before. Harder than the first search. Harder than the journey to Byblos. Harder than anything she's ever imagined. But she also knows she can do it, because she's already proven she can. She's already walked across a country, already refused to give up, already found the impossible once. She can do it again. So she begins. But this time she's smarter, more strategic. She knows she can't just wander randomly. Egypt is vast. The pieces could be anywhere. She needs a method, a system. So she starts by going to the people, not asking if they've seen Osiris. That would reveal too much, would let Set know what she's doing. Instead, she asks different questions. Have you seen anything strange lately? Any unusual discoveries? Anything out of place? She goes village by village, town by town. She talks to farmers in their fields, fishermen on the river, merchants in the markets. She talks to children who explore places adults don't go, to old people who notice things others miss, to priests in temples who hear confessions and secrets. And slowly, piece by piece, literally and figuratively, she builds a map of oddities. A farmer mentions finding something strange in his field while plowing. Something that looked like it might have been part of a person. He buried it quickly, frightened, not wanting to bring bad luck on his land. Isis asks where. The farmer shows her. She digs, and she finds it. The first piece, an arm. Osiris's right arm. She recognizes it immediately. These are the fingers that held her hand, the palm that caressed her face, the arm that embraced her on countless evenings. She lifts it gently, reverently, wraps it in clean white linen, places it in a bag she carries, and she weeps. Not from sadness this time, from relief, from joy, from the confirmation that this is possible, that she can do this. 1 down, 13 to go. She continues. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months. Isis travels the length and breadth of Egypt. She goes to places she's never been, places she never even knew existed. She climbs mountains where the air is thin and cold. She ventures deep into the desert, where the heat is so intense it distorts vision. She wades through swamps where the water is murky and filled with creatures. She explores caves where bats nest, and darkness is absolute. In each place, she searches, she asks, she listens. Not just to words, but to her intuition, to her connection with Osiris that even death cannot break. Sometimes she feels pulled in a certain direction, drawn to a specific location, and she follows that feeling. And, more often than not, she finds something. A fisherman tells her about something he caught in his net, something unusual that he threw back, disturbed by what it might be. Isis goes diving in that part of the river. The water is cold and dark. She can barely see. But she searches, feels along the river bottom, and she finds it. Another piece. A leg this time. She brings it to the surface, gasps for air, holds the piece close. 2 down, 12 to go. A child in a remote village mentions seeing something shiny in a cave while playing. His parents scolded him for going there. It's dangerous, full of snakes. But Isis goes. She's not afraid of snakes. She's the goddess of magic. She knows how to speak to them, to calm them. She enters the cave, sees a cobra coiled in the darkness, speaks to it softly. It moves aside, and behind it, another piece. 3 down, 11 to go. This is how it goes. One lead at a time, one piece at a time, Each discovery is a small miracle. Each piece found is a victory. But the cost is enormous. Isis is exhausted beyond measure. Her body is pushed to its absolute limits. She's thin, too thin. Her bones show through her skin. Her hair, once so lustrous, is now dry and brittle. Her hands are scarred from digging, from climbing, from searching through places human hands weren't meant to go. People who see her are sometimes frightened. She looks like a ghost, like someone who belongs more to the world of the dead than the living. And perhaps, in a way, she does. She's living in two worlds simultaneously. The world of the living, where she walks and breathes and eats when she remembers to, and the world of the dead, where Osiris waits, where her heart truly resides. But there's also something beautiful happening. As word spreads of what she's doing, as people begin to understand the scope of her quest, something shifts in Egypt. People start to help. At first, just a few. The farmer who found the first piece tells others. They start paying attention, looking. And when they find something unusual, they send word. They tell travelers. Please, if you pass through such and such village, tell the woman who's searching that we may have found something. A network forms, informal, unorganized, but powerful. People who never knew Osiris personally, but who are moved by Isis's love, who want to be part of something beautiful, something that proves that goodness and dedication matter. They offer her food when she passes through, shelter when she needs rest, information when they have it, and Isis accepts their help with gratitude. She realizes she doesn't have to do this completely alone, that love inspires others, that one person's dedication can light fires in many hearts. Months pass. The pile of pieces grows. 4, 5, 6. Each one wrapped carefully in linen. Each one treated with reverence. Isis carries them with her. The bag becomes heavier, but she doesn't mind. The weight is proof. Evidence that she's succeeding. 7, 8, 9. She's more than halfway now. The task that seemed impossible is becoming possible. The dream that seemed foolish is becoming real. 10, 11, 12. She's so close now. So close she can almost taste it. But the last two pieces are the hardest. She searches for weeks without finding anything. She follows lead after lead that goes nowhere. She begins to wonder if perhaps these pieces are truly lost. Perhaps they were destroyed. Perhaps they're somewhere she can never reach. But she doesn't give up. Can't give up. Not when she's come this far. And then, an old woman in a tiny village along the Nile tells her something. There's a place, the woman says, far upstream, where the river narrows and the current is strong. Things sometimes get caught there, between the rocks. Things that float downstream from who knows where. Isis goes. It's a difficult journey. The terrain is rough. The rocks are slippery. The water is fast and dangerous. But she climbs down, searches among the rocks, and there, wedged in a crevice, she finds it. Piece 13. She almost cries with relief. One more, just one more, and then she can put him back together. The last piece is the hardest to find. She searches for another month, 2 months. She goes everywhere, asks everyone, but no one has seen anything. And then she hears a story from a priest who heard it from a traveler who heard it from a fisherman. a fisherman who, months ago, caught something strange, something he didn't want to talk about, something that disturbed him so much that he threw it back immediately. But it wasn't just thrown back into the water. A fish swallowed it. And that fish, later that same day, was caught and sold at market and eaten. The piece is gone, truly gone. Isis will never find it. For a moment, when she hears this, she feels despair threatening to overwhelm her again. So close, 13 out of 14, but not complete, never complete. But then she makes a decision. 13 pieces will have to be enough. Osiris will not be whole in the physical sense. He will always be missing that one part. But perhaps that's fitting. Perhaps that's the price of death. That you never come back exactly as you were. That something is always lost. And yet so much can be reclaimed. So much can be saved. So much can be brought back. She takes her 13 pieces to a sacred place, a temple hidden deep in the desert, far from Set, far from anyone who would interfere. She lays them out on a white linen cloth, and for the first time in months, she looks at all of them together. This is Osiris, broken, incomplete. But here, she did it. Against all odds, against all logic, against everything that seemed reasonable or possible. She did it. She found him, one piece at a time. And now comes the next miracle, putting him back together. She works through the night, carefully, lovingly. She places each piece where it belongs, the arms, the legs, the torso, the head. She uses her magic to help, to bind, to heal what can be healed. It's not perfect. There are gaps, places where flesh doesn't quite meet. The missing piece leaves an obvious absence. But still, when she's done, when all 13 pieces are arranged in the shape of a man, it's unmistakably Osiris. She places her hand on his chest, where his heart once beat, and she speaks to him. "My love," she says, "I found you. Not all of you, but most of you. And I put you back because even broken, you are still beautiful to me. And let me tell you something. As you watch this scene, as you witness Isis placing her hand on the reconstructed body of her husband, you need to understand what she's really done here. She's not just found pieces of a body. She's proven something fundamental about the nature of love and commitment. Most of us, when something breaks, we throw it away. A relationship ends, we walk away. A dream shatters, we give up. A person dies, we move on. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Sometimes moving on is healthy, necessary even. But Isis shows us something else, another option, another way. She shows us that sometimes the right response to loss isn't to let go. It's to hold on tighter. That sometimes, when everything falls apart, the answer isn't to walk away. It's to gather the pieces, to kneel in the rubble and sort through it, to find what can be saved, and to rebuild. Not into what it was before. That's impossible. The broken cannot return to its original state. But into something new. Something that carries the scars of its breaking, but exists nonetheless. Is different. Is perhaps even stronger for having been broken and remade. This is what Isis is teaching us. This is the lesson she's writing with her own life, her own suffering, her own unbreakable determination. That love is not a feeling, it's a choice. A series of choices, every day, every moment. The choice to keep going when everything says stop. The choice to keep believing when everything says it's hopeless. The choice to keep gathering pieces when everyone else has walked away. And this love, this kind of love, can work miracles. Not because it's magic, though in Isis's case it literally is, but because persistence, real persistence, the kind that doesn't quit, the kind that gets back up no matter how many times it's knocked down, that kind of persistence changes things, changes situations, changes outcomes, changes the very fabric of reality. Isis walked across Egypt multiple times. She asked thousands of questions. She searched in hundreds of places. She never stopped, never quit, never said it was too much. And because of that, the impossible became possible. The lost was found. The broken was pieced back together. Not perfectly, never perfectly, but enough. Enough to matter. Enough to make a difference. Enough to prove that love wins. And now, as she kneels beside the reassembled body of Osiris, as she prepares for what comes next, you should know something. This is not the end of the miracle. This is just the beginning. Because Isis is about to do something that no one has ever done before. She's about to bring the dead back to life. And in doing so, she's going to create something eternal. Stay with me. Chapter 6. The Magic of Resurrection. The First Breath from the Dead. Tonight there is no moon in the sky, only darkness covering the ancient temple deep in the desert. But inside that temple, light is beginning to shimmer. Imagine you're stepping into this sacred space. The air feels different here. Charged, electric, as if the boundary between worlds is thinner. As if something impossible is about to become possible. Candles are arranged in a circle around Osiris's body. Not just a few candles, hundreds of them, one by one, each one representing a part of the soul, a part of life that Isis is trying to call back. She spent hours placing them. Each position matters. Each flame is a prayer, a beacon, a call to the soul that has departed. The flames dance, creating flickering shadows on the ancient walls carved with hieroglyphs. These aren't just decorations, they're spells, instructions, a map for the soul's journey back. The scent of incense rises, sweet and heavy, like the breath of gods watching. Frankincense and myrrh, lotus and cinnamon, scents that open doorways, that bridge the gap between life and death. Can you hear it? The wind from the desert outside blowing in, whispering through the gaps in the temple doors, as if murmuring ancient prayers. Words in languages older than Egypt itself. The sand sliding softly on stone, keeping rhythm like a drum. And within all those sounds, there's another sound. Isis's voice. She's kneeling beside Osiris, her hands placed gently on his chest, where his heart once beat. Her eyes are closed, not in sleep, in concentration, so intense, it's almost painful to witness. Her lips move with incantations that only the goddess of magic knows, incantations passed down from generation to generation, from the time of creation. From the moment when Ra first spoke the world into existence, from when Atum emerged from the primordial waters, from the beginning of all things. These are words of power, true power, not the power of kings or armies, but the power that moves stars, that changes fate, that can perhaps bring the dead back to life. You stand in the darkness, watching, not too close. This is sacred, dangerous. The magic Isis is working is not small magic, not simple healing or illusion. She's attempting something that violates the fundamental laws of existence. She's trying to reverse death itself. Isis's face no longer has tears. It's serene, peaceful even. But there's also something else, an intensity, a focus so complete that nothing else exists for her. Not hunger, not exhaustion, not fear. Only this moment, only this task, only this impossible thing she's about to attempt. She begins to sing, not with a normal voice, but with another kind of sound. A sound that seems to come from deep within her soul, from a place beyond words, beyond language. It's part prayer, part song, part the cry of a heart calling its beloved back. The sound is beautiful, haunting. It makes your chest ache, makes you want to cry even though you don't know why. It's the sound of love distilled to its purest form. Osiris, she sings, man of the fertile black earth, man of the gentle Nile, man of the green fields, man who taught us to live, man who showed us kindness, man who loved without condition. I call you back, from the world beyond, from the darkness of the dead, from the hall of judgment where you walk, from the field of reeds where you rest. From wherever your soul has traveled, come back to me. I know you're tired. I know you've earned your rest. I know the world beyond is peaceful, is beautiful, is everything you deserve. But I need you. Not forever, just for a moment, just long enough to say goodbye, to tell you I found you, to let you know you were loved. Come back to me, even if just once, even if just for a moment. Come back. The candles begin to burn brighter, not gradually, suddenly, all at once. The flames reach higher, as if responding to her prayer, as if they too are calling to the soul that has departed, calling it home. The scent of incense seems to grow thicker, forming thin mists floating in the air. Shapes in the smoke, figures, hard to see, hard to define, but there, watching, waiting. The gods themselves are present, not visibly, but you can feel them. Thoth, god of wisdom, recording this moment. Anubis, guide of souls, standing at the threshold between worlds. Nephthys, sister of Isis, lending her strength. Even Ra, the sun god, though it's night, shining his light from the underworld where he travels until dawn. They're all here, all watching, all wondering if this will work, if love really can conquer death. And you feel something changing. The air in the temple seems to thicken, to become almost liquid. You can see it shimmering, waves of energy rippling through space. The temperature drops, then rises, then drops again. Reality itself is fluctuating. The laws of nature are being bent, tested, perhaps about to break. It vibrates with an energy you cannot see, but can feel, in your bones, in your blood, in the very core of your being.
As if the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead is thinning. As if a door is slowly opening. A door that should stay closed. That was never meant to be opened. But Isis doesn't care about should. Doesn't care about rules or laws or the natural order. She cares about one thing. One person. And she will move heaven and earth to bring him back. She places her cheek on Osiris's chest, feels the coldness of his skin, the stillness, the absolute absence of life. And she whispers, not singing now, just talking, person to person, wife to husband, soul to soul. My love, if you can still hear me, if your soul is still wandering somewhere between the two worlds, if any part of you remembers who you were, who we were together, know that I never gave up on you. I went all over the world to find you, not once, not twice, but as many times as it took. I walked until my feet bled. I searched until my eyes could barely see. I asked questions until my voice was hoarse. I never stopped, never rested, never quit. Because you're worth it. Because our love is worth it. Because some things are more important than comfort, more important than safety, more important than life itself. I put every piece of you back together. 13 pieces. I couldn't find the 14th. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I failed you in that. You'll never be complete again, never be whole. But you're here. You're together. You're not scattered anymore. And if you can, even just once, even just for a moment, come back to me. Let me see your eyes open. Let me hear your voice. Let me feel your heartbeat one more time. I'm not asking for forever. I know that's not possible. I know the dead cannot truly return. I know the laws of existence. But just for a moment. Just long enough to say goodbye. To tell you I love you. The candles suddenly burn brighter. So bright, you have to shield your eyes. Light floods the temple. Brilliant. Blinding. White light tinged with gold. The wind from outside stops. All sounds fall silent. Even the sand stops moving. Even the insects stop chirping. Even your own heartbeat seems to pause, as if the whole world is holding its breath, waiting, hoping, praying. And you see it, a small light, faint, so faint you almost miss it, begins to emanate from Osiris's chest, where his heart once beat. That light is weak, flickering, like a candle flame in a strong wind, like a star about to go out. But it's there. It's real. And as you watch, it grows. Slowly. So slowly. But definitely. Growing stronger, brighter. That light isn't the yellow of candlelight, isn't the orange of torches. It's pale green. The color of new shoots pushing through earth. The color of spring after winter. The color of rebirth. Of life returning. Of hope. Isis opens her eyes. She feels it before she sees it. A warmth spreading under her hand. A vibration. Something that wasn't there a moment ago. She looks down, and she sees that light. Growing, spreading. From his chest to his arms. From his arms to his fingers. From his chest to his legs. From his legs to his toes. Slowly, cell by cell, piece by piece, life is returning. Tears roll down her cheeks, but this time they're tears of hope, of disbelief, of joy so intense it's almost painful. You're coming back, she whispers. Oh gods, you're actually coming back. She continues to sing. Her voice is stronger now, more confident, more emotional, more loving, pouring every ounce of her being into this moment, giving everything she has, everything she is, to bring him back. And the light in Osiris's chest begins to spread, can work miracles. And then, the impossible happens. Osiris's chest rises. Just a little. Just barely. But it rises. He's breathing. After months of death, after being scattered across Egypt, after being broken into pieces, he's breathing. Isis places her hand on his chest, and she feels it, feels the movement, feels the expansion, feels life. The heart, it's beating, slowly, weakly, like a drum in the distance, but it's beating. Lub-dub, lub-dub, the most beautiful sound she's ever heard. "My love," she cries, "you've come back. You're here. You came back to me." Osiris's fingers move, one by one, slowly, as if testing, as if remembering how, as if learning again what it means to have a body, to be physical, to exist in form. His eyes are still closed, but his lips move, trying to speak, trying to form words. Isis leans down, places her ear near his mouth, straining to hear. And she hears it, a whisper, so faint, so weak, but clear. One word, her name, Isis. "I'm here," she says, her voice breaking. "I'm here, my love. I'm always here. I'll never leave you. I found you. I brought you back. You're safe now." And slowly, like a flower blooming in darkness, like dawn breaking after the longest night, Osiris's eyes open. Not completely, just a crack, just enough to see her face, to see the woman who walked across the world for him, who never gave up, who loved him enough to break the laws of nature. His eyes, once vibrant and full of life, are now dim, clouded, but they're open, and they see her, really see her. A faint smile appears on his lips, weak, trembling, but real. "You did it," he whispers. "You found me." "I found everything," Isis says. "I put you back together, piece by piece, because you deserve to be whole, because you deserve to be loved, because you're mine." Isis supports him, holds him in her arms, and they sit there, in the candlelight, in the heavy scent of incense, in the sacred silence of the temple. Two souls who have found each other once again, against all odds, against death itself. You stand there, watching them, and you feel something in your chest, a warm feeling, a feeling of hope, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't cruel, that maybe love does matter, that maybe our actions, our choices, our refusal to give up, maybe they can change things, change outcomes, change fate. But Osiris knows something that Isis hasn't yet accepted, something he must tell her, something that will break her heart all over again. He can't stay. "I can see it in your eyes," Isis says. "You're going to leave again, aren't you?" Osiris nods, slowly, sadly. "I have to," he whispers. "The dead cannot remain in the world of the living. It's against the laws of Ma'at, against the balance. I've crossed back briefly, because your love was strong enough to build a bridge. But I cannot stay on this side. The world of the living is no longer my home." "No," Isis says.
She holds him tighter, as if she can keep him here through sheer force of will. I just got you back. I can't lose you again. I can't. You're not losing me, Osiris says gently. I'm just changing form, transforming, going where I'm needed. There's a place for me, a purpose in the world beyond. The dead need a king. They need someone who understands justice, who knows mercy, who has felt what they feel. And I can be that. I can serve them as I served the living. Isis knows he's right. She's always known, deep down, that this reunion couldn't last. That some doors once closed cannot be fully reopened. But knowing doesn't make it easier. I'll miss you, she whispers. Every day, from the miracle of you coming back, I can feel it. A life, a spark, growing inside me. Our son, the one who will avenge you, who will defeat Set, who will bring justice back to Egypt. Osiris's eyes fill with tears. A child. Our child. Then I'm not really leaving, he says. Part of me will remain, will grow, will live on. And tears roll down his face, not tears of sadness, tears of gratitude, of completion, of knowing that death is not the end, that love creates life, that even in dying he's part of something eternal. As the first light of dawn begins to filter into the temple, Osiris's body begins to fade. The green light within him begins to dim. His breathing slows. His heartbeat weakens. But his eyes remain on Isis, locked with hers, drinking in every detail of her face, memorizing her, taking her with him. I love you, he whispers, forever and beyond forever. I love you too, Isis says, in this life and every life, in this world and every world. Go, rest, rule in the world beyond. I'll finish what you started here. I promise. And with those words, with her permission, Osiris closes his eyes. His chest rises one last time, falls, and doesn't rise again. He's gone. But this time, it's different. This time, Isis doesn't scream, doesn't collapse. She sits there, holding him, and she sings. A lullaby, a song of peace, a song of completion. And when the song ends, she gently lays him down. She knows what she must do now. She must preserve his body properly, must perform the rituals, must ensure his soul can travel safely to the Hall of Judgment, where he will be judged, where his heart will be weighed, where he will, she knows without doubt, be found worthy. And then he will rule, not in this world, but in the next. And perhaps, she thinks, perhaps that's better. Perhaps the living need a different kind of king, but the dead need him, need his compassion, his justice, his understanding. So, in your opinion, comment your thoughts, because what just happened wasn't random. It's the result of love that never gives up, of faith that never wavers, of hope that never dies. And now, take a deep breath. Feel the miracle of this moment. Feel the power of love that can bring the dead back to life, even if just for a moment. And stay with me, because Osiris's journey isn't over. He's about to become something new, something greater. He's about to become king of the world beyond, where true justice is served, where souls are weighed, where death isn't the end, but just a new beginning. The journey continues. Chapter 7. Osiris, king of the Underworld. Step with me into a world that few dare to imagine. A world without sunlight, but not entirely darkness either. A world that lies between life and death, between the present and forever. The ancient Egyptians called it Duat, the world beyond, where souls go after the body dies. But it's not hell. It's not heaven. It's something else entirely. Something more complex, more nuanced, more profound than simple punishment or reward. And if you've been following our journey through the mysteries of ancient Egypt, if you listened to our previous story about the mystery of Anubis, the god of the dead, you'll remember that I introduced you to the guardian of the threshold, the one with the jackal head who stands between worlds, the one who prepares the dead for their final journey. Well, tonight, we're going deeper. We're crossing that threshold. We're entering the realm where Anubis serves, the realm where Osiris rules. And if you haven't heard that story yet, if you're just joining us now, I invite you to go back. Find it in our playlist. Listen to the tale of Anubis. Understand his role, his purpose, his sacred duty. Because everything connects. Every story builds upon the last. Every mystery reveals another layer of truth. But for now, let me take you forward, into the Hall of Judgment itself. Imagine you're standing at the boundary of two worlds. Behind you is the light of the living world, where the sun still rises and sets, where the Nile still flows, where life continues in all its messy, beautiful, painful glory. You can hear it, the sounds of the living, laughter, crying, the everyday noise of existence. Before you is a veil, thin, almost transparent, shimmering like heat waves rising from desert sand, like the surface of water, like a membrane separating one reality from another. And through that veil you see another world filled with strange light that doesn't come from the sun or moon or stars, but from the souls themselves. Each soul radiates its own light. Some shine brilliantly, like tiny stars. These are the souls of the righteous, the good, the kind, people who lived well, who loved generously, who helped others. Some are dim, flickering, like candles about to go out. These are the souls who lived lives of uncertainty, who were neither particularly good nor particularly bad. And some are dark, almost no light at all, heavy, dense. These are the souls weighed down by evil. And all of them are moving, flowing toward the center of Duat, toward the Hall of Judgment, toward Osiris. Take a breath and step through the veil. The moment you cross, everything changes. The air feels lighter, as if gravity has less hold on you. You look down at your hands. They're transparent, almost clear. You can see through them. You're no longer solid, no longer purely physical. You're something between, a soul with a form. And you begin to walk. Around you are other souls, thousands of them, all moving in the same direction. A man passes by. He looks confused, lost. He keeps looking back toward the veil, as if he wants to go back, as if he's not ready. You've seen this look before. This soul died young. A woman floats past. She's smiling, peaceful. Her light is bright. She's old, lived a long life, a good life, and she's ready. Children too, babies even, too young to have sinned. They're being guided by others, by ancestors who came before. And you continue moving until finally you arrive. The Hall of Two Truths. The name itself is significant. Not the hall of judgment, not the hall of God, the hall of two truths. Because there are always two truths, the truth you tell yourself and the truth of what you actually did. The hall is massive, incomprehensibly huge. The ceiling disappears into darkness above. Or maybe it's not darkness, maybe it's infinity. The walls are carved with hieroglyphs, but these aren't static. They move, shift, tell stories. The history of every soul that's ever passed through here. Enormous pillars stand upright, each one carved from a single piece of stone, each one covered in glowing symbols. These aren't just decorative. They're part of the magic, part of the machinery of judgment. The floor is polished black stone, so smooth it reflects like a mirror. And in that reflection, you see not yourself as you are now, but yourself as you were. Every version of yourself, every age, every moment. And at the end of the hall, on a high throne, sits a figure you recognize immediately. Osiris. But this isn't the Osiris you saw lying dead in Isis's arms. This is Osiris transformed, Osiris complete, Osiris in his full divine glory. He sits on a throne of gold and lapis lazuli. The throne itself seems to pulse with power, with authority. His body is whole, no missing pieces now. Whatever incompleteness existed in the living world doesn't exist here. His skin is deep green, the color of the Nile during flood season, the color of fertile earth, the color of life and death intertwined. On his head sits the Atef crown, tall, majestic, white with ostrich feathers on either side. In his hands, the crook and flail. But they're not just symbols now, they're tools. The crook to shepherd souls, the flail to separate wheat from chaff, truth from lies. But the most impressive thing is his eyes. Those eyes look at each soul that passes before him and see everything. Every action you ever took, every word you ever spoke, every thought you ever had, every secret you tried to hide. All of it visible, transparent, undeniable. But in those eyes, there's no cruelty, no desire to punish. There's only understanding, compassion, sadness for the pain you caused, joy for the good you did. He's not here to condemn. He's here to witness, to acknowledge, to weigh, to judge fairly. You move closer and see what's happening before Osiris's throne. In the center of the hall stands a massive scale, an ancient balance. Two plates suspended from a beam. On one side sits a white feather, pure, perfect. This is the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth, goddess of justice. The feather represents the weight of a life lived in harmony, in balance, in truth. This is the standard. On the other side sits an empty bowl, waiting. A soul steps forward, a man, perhaps 50 years old when he died. His face shows anxiety, fear. He knows what's coming. And here Anubis appears, the jackal-headed god you met in our previous story. He moves with ritual precision. He approaches the man, places his hand on the man's chest, and slowly, carefully, he draws something out. The heart. Not the physical heart, the spiritual heart, the Ib, the place where all your actions are recorded. It's like crystallized light, solid, heavy. You can see things inside it, scenes, moments, like a recording of a life lived. Anubis places the heart on the empty side of the scale, and the entire hall falls silent. every soul watching holds its breath, waiting, hoping, fearing. The scale begins to move, slowly at first, rocking gently. The heart on one side, the feather on the other. Which is heavier? Did this man live well? The scale continues to rock. The heart and the feather weigh exactly the same. Perfect balance. The man gasps. Tears stream down his face. He falls to his knees, from relief, from overwhelming emotion. Osiris stands up from his throne. He doesn't stand for everyone, but for some, for those who truly strove to live well. He honors them with this gesture. He steps down, walks to the man, places his hand on the man's shoulder. "You have lived a good life," Osiris says. His voice is deep, resonant. "You made mistakes, yes. You hurt people, yes. You were selfish at times, afraid at times. But you also loved. You cared for your family. You helped your neighbors. You told the truth when it was hard. You chose kindness when anger would have been easier. You lived with honor. And so, you are welcomed into Aru, into the field of reeds, into peace." The man stands. His light suddenly blazes brighter, brilliant, and he walks away following a path made of light, leading to paradise. But not every soul is that fortunate. Another soul steps forward, a woman this time. Her light is almost non-existent, heavy, dark. She moves reluctantly. Anubis approaches, draws out her heart, and when he places it on the scale, it doesn't rock. It plunges down. Heavy. So heavy. The scale tips dramatically, the heart far outweighing the feather. Inside the heart, you can see scenes, cruelty, deliberate cruelty, lies, betrayals, harm done and never regretted. Osiris doesn't stand this time. His face is sad, not angry, just sad. "You chose poorly," he says, and from the shadows beside the scale, something moves. Amit, the devourer of souls, part crocodile, part lion, part hippopotamus. She devours the heart. The woman's soul screams once and then vanishes to nothing. This is the second death, the real death, the death of the soul itself. And you understand, this isn't cruel to most fall somewhere in between. And Osiris sits on his throne, watching, never tiring, never wavering. Because he's been where they've been. He's lived. He's suffered. He's died. He knows what it means to struggle. And because he knows, he judges, not from distance, but from understanding. He doesn't expect perfection. He expects effort. This is why he's the perfect judge. Not because he's harsh, but because he's fair. Not because he's powerful, but because he's compassionate. And this is his purpose now. He cannot rule the living world anymore, but he can serve the dead. He can ensure that justice exists, that what you do in life actually matters. And maybe that's more important. Because here, in Duat, before the scale of Ma'at, there is no deception, only what you are, what you've done, what your heart truly weighs. And let me tell you something profound. Death is not the end. It never was. It's transformation. Osiris proved this. He died twice, was murdered, scattered. But he didn't cease to exist. He transformed. From a king of the living to a king of the dead. And this is the truth about karma. What you do in life doesn't disappear when you die. It follows you, becomes you. Every kind word makes your heart lighter. Every cruel action makes it heavier. All of it accumulates. And one day you will face your own scale. And the question won't be, did you have money or power or fame? The question will be, did you live well? Did you love? Did you help? Did you try? And if you did, your heart will be light enough. You will be welcomed into peace. This is justice. This is karma. This is what Osiris has become, not a tyrant, but a guardian of truth, a servant of Ma'at. Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of this truth, that justice exists, that your actions matter. And stay with me, because while Osiris rules the world beyond, another story is unfolding in the world of the living. The story of the child conceived on that miraculous night. The child named Horus. Chapter 8. Isis and Horus, the battle for justice. Let's return to the living world, where the sun still rises and sets, where the Nile still flows, where life continues despite the tragedies that have occurred. Many years have passed since the night Osiris left this world. Many years since Isis sat alone in the temple, holding her dead husband for the last time. And the world has changed. Under Set's rule, Egypt has transformed. The green fields that Osiris cultivated have turned brown in places, not because the Nile stopped flooding, but because Set doesn't understand agriculture the way Osiris did, doesn't care about the rhythms of planting and harvest. He cares about power, about control, about fear. The laws Osiris established have been twisted. Justice, once fair and accessible to all, now depends on who you know, who you can bribe. The poor suffer, the weak are exploited, and those who speak out disappear. Set rules through terror, through military might, through constant threat of violence. This is not the Egypt Osiris built, but it is the Egypt Set has created. And yet, in the midst of this darkness, there is light, there is hope, there is a child. Imagine you're standing in a hidden marshland, far from the cities, far from Set's palace, far from the eyes of those who would do harm. This is the Delta region, where the Nile breaks into many channels before reaching the sea, where tall reeds grow so thick they create a natural fortress, where the water is shallow but treacherous, where no one goes unless they know the secret paths. And here, hidden in the very heart of this wilderness, is Isis. But she's not alone anymore. Many years have passed. The grief in her eyes has transformed into something else. Determination, purpose, strength born from suffering. She's older now. Lines mark her face. Silver threads run through her dark hair. But she's not weaker. She's stronger, forged by fire, tempered by loss. Unbreakable. And beside her is a boy, perhaps 8 or 9 years old. His skin is the color of bronze in sunlight. His eyes are sharp, intelligent, missing nothing. His body is lean, but strong, muscles already developing from constant training. And sometimes, when the light catches him just right, you see something else, a shimmer around him, as if he exists partially in another realm. And above his head, visible only to those who can see such things, the image of a falcon, wings spread, eyes fierce. This is Horus, son of Osiris and Isis, child of two worlds, born from the union of life and death, carrying in his blood the destiny to restore balance, to defeat Set, to reclaim the throne. Isis is teaching him, not just reading or writing, though he knows those things, not just history or mathematics, though he's learned those too. She's teaching him about his father. They're sitting on a fallen log beside the water. The morning sun filters through the reeds, creating patterns of light and shadow. "Come sit here, my son," Isis says. Her voice is gentle but has an undertone of steel. "Let me tell you again about your father." Horus settles beside her. He never tires of these stories. Each one is a piece of a puzzle helping him understand who he is. "Your father was a good king," Isis begins. "Not good because he was powerful, though he was. Not good because people feared him, because they didn't. He was good because he served. He taught people to farm, to build, to create laws, to live in peace. He showed them that strength isn't about dominating others. It's about lifting them up." Horus listens intently. "And Uncle Set killed him," Horus says. It's not a question, it's a statement of fact, something he's known since he was old enough to understand words. "Yes," Isis says, and pain flashes across her face. "Your uncle was jealous. He wanted what your father had. The throne, the love of the people, the respect. But he didn't understand that those things can't be taken, and because he couldn't earn them, he destroyed the one who had." "Why?" Horus asks. "Why would he do that?" "Because he was in pain," Isis says. "Because he felt unseen, unappreciated. He compared himself to your father and always found himself lacking. And instead of trying to become better, instead of finding his own path, he tried to tear down what your father had built. Pain doesn't excuse what he did. Nothing excuses murder. But understanding why someone does evil helps us prevent it, helps us recognize it in ourselves, helps us choose differently." "What was he like?" Horus asks. "Father. What was he really like?" Isis smiles. "He was kind. That's the first thing people noticed, his kindness. He listened when people talked, really listened, made them feel heard. He was patient, never rushed decisions, always thought about consequences. He was wise, but he wore his wisdom lightly, never made people feel stupid for not knowing. And he loved. He loved deeply, completely. He loved the land, the river, the people. He loved me." She pauses, touches Horus's cheek. "And he would have loved you so much, would have been so proud of you." "When can I face Uncle Set?" Horus asks. "When can I take back what's ours?" "Not yet," Isis says firmly. "You're not ready. Set is powerful, dangerous. He's ruled for years now, has armies, has weapons, has no conscience to limit him. If you face him now, he'll kill you, just like he killed your father." "But I'm training," Horus protests. "You've taught me magic, combat, strategy. I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm ready." "You're skilled," Isis agrees. "But skill isn't enough. You need wisdom, understanding, the knowledge of when to fight and when to wait. Your father was killed because he trusted too much, didn't see betrayal coming. You need to be better than that, smarter than that. You need to understand your enemy, not just how to defeat him, but why you're defeating him. Not for revenge, not for power, Day after day, year after year, you watch Horus grow. From a boy to a teenager. From a teenager to a young man. Isis teaches him everything she knows. Magic. The same magic she used to resurrect Osiris. The words of power. Combat. She's fierce with a sword. She teaches Horus not just to fight, but to think while fighting, to anticipate, to adapt. Strategy. How to read people, how to understand motivation, how to plan ahead. But most importantly, she teaches him about justice, about ma'at, about the difference between revenge and righteousness. You could kill Set, she tells him one day when he's nearly grown. You could murder him in his sleep. But if you did that, you'd become him. You'd be using the same tactics, the same cruelty. Set must be defeated, but he must be defeated the right way, in combat, publicly, where everyone can see that justice is being served. You must be better than him, must prove that good can triumph over evil, not by becoming evil, but by remaining good. These are hard lessons. Horus doesn't always understand. Sometimes he's frustrated, angry. But Isis is patient, firm. She's already lost one love to Set's treachery. She will not lose her son to impatience. And then one day Horus is ready. Not because he's the best fighter, not because he's mastered every spell, but because he understands what he's fighting for. It's time, Isis says, and Horus nods. He's tall now, strong. His eyes carry the weight of knowledge. I'm ready, he says. And so Horus steps out of the marshland. For the first time in his life, he leaves the protection of the reeds, steps into the wider world, into danger, into destiny. He walks through villages, towns, cities, and people notice. There's something about him, an aura, a presence. Some recognize him for what he is, the son of Osiris, the rightful heir. Others just see a powerful young man, someone who might bring change. Hope spreads like wildfire. He's coming to challenge Set. Finally, Horus reaches Set's palace. The palace that was once Osiris's. He walks through the gates, past the guards who are too stunned to stop him, into the great hall where Set sits on the stolen throne. Set sees him immediately, stands up. His strange face twists in surprise, then anger. Horus, son of Osiris, I thought you died long ago. You survived, Horus says calmly, and I'm here. I'm here to claim what's mine. The throne you stole from my father. Set laughs, but it's not comfortable. You think you can take it from me. You think you can defeat me. I've ruled for years. I have armies. I have power. What do you have? Justice, Horus says simply. Ma'at, truth. The love of the people, the blessing of the gods, and the determination to restore what you destroyed. And so, the challenge is issued. Not just a fight, but a series of contests, trials, battles both physical and magical, tests of strength, of wisdom, of righteousness. They fight as men first, swords and spears, in an arena before witnesses. Thousands gather, watching, hoping, praying. Set is powerful, experienced. He's been a warrior for millennia. But Horus is fast, trained, prepared, and most importantly, he's fighting for something. Not for power, for justice. The battle rages, hours. They're both wounded, both bleeding, both exhausted. And finally, Horus finds an opening, strikes, and Set falls. But Horus doesn't kill him, doesn't deliver the final blow. Yield, Horus says. Acknowledge the wrong you did. Seek forgiveness, and you can live. But Set refuses, spits, and the battle continues. They fight as beasts. Set becomes a hippopotamus, enormous, powerful. Horus becomes a falcon, swift, sharp. They battle in the Nile, in the sky, in the desert. Days in the desert. Days pass, weeks. Neither can gain permanent advantage. They fight with magic, throwing spells. The air crackles. Horus screams, falls, seems defeated. But then Thoth, god of wisdom, comes, heals Horus's eye, restores it. And the eye of Horus becomes a symbol of healing, of protection, of wholeness restored. The battles continue. Years pass. Finally, the gods convene a council. They cannot allow this to continue forever. They gather, all of them, and they hear testimony from Set, who claims he's stronger, that might makes right. From Horus, who claims his birthright, his dedication to Ma'at. From Isis, who speaks of Osiris, of justice, of balance. The council deliberates, and finally, a verdict. Horus is the rightful king of Egypt. The throne belongs to him. Set must step down. Some gods want to punish Set further, but Horus says no. Set is part of the natural order. He represents chaos, the desert, storms. These things are necessary. Set can rule the desert, but the fertile lands, the Nile Valley, the people, they are mine to protect. And so, order is restored. Horus takes the throne, places the double crown on his head, and he begins to rule. Not with the gentle patience of Osiris, he's seen too much, but with wisdom, with justice, with determination. The fields are replanted, the laws are reformed, justice is made fair again. And Isis, now very old, sits in the palace, watches, and she sees Osiris in him, the same kindness, the same wisdom. Your father would be so proud, she whispers, and my son, so am I. Let me tell you the lesson from this journey. Justice doesn't come immediately. It requires time, patience, preparation. You cannot rush into battle unprepared. Horus spent years training, learning, growing. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't glamorous. It was hard work. But that preparation mattered. When the time came, he was ready. And evil may win for it, not through revenge, not through becoming like the enemy, but through being better. That's the real victory. Not just claiming the throne, but claiming it the right way, with honor, with justice, with righteousness. Stay with me. We're almost at the end. And the end will give you everything. Chapter 9. The Great Reward. Lessons from Osiris. Now, let's return to where we began. The banks of the Nile River. Dawn is breaking. The river still flows gently, just as it has flowed for 5,000 years. Just as it will continue to flow for 5,000 more years. You stand there, your feet touching the wet mud of the riverbank. The morning breeze blows softly against your face, carrying the scent of water, the smell of life, the smell of time that is past but never truly disappears. The sun is rising over the horizon,
painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. The same colors that illuminated the sky when Osiris first walked this earth. The same light that witnessed his death, his resurrection, his transformation. And now, after taking this journey with Osiris, with Isis, with Horus, after witnessing love and death and resurrection and justice, you understand something profound. This story isn't just about ancient gods. It's not just mythology from a lost civilization. This story is about you, about me, about all of us. Because what Osiris went through, we go through too. Perhaps not literally. We're not cut into 14 pieces. We're not thrown into rivers. But we all know what it feels like to be betrayed. We all know what it feels like to be hurt by people we trusted. We all know what it feels like when a part of us has died, and we don't know how to continue. And what Isis went through, we go through too. We all know what it means to search for something lost, to refuse to give up when everyone says it's hopeless, to keep going when we're exhausted, to believe when belief seems foolish. And what Horus went through, we go through too. We all have battles to fight, wrongs to right, justice to pursue. We all face moments when we must choose between revenge and righteousness, between becoming like our enemies or being better than them. This story is our story, has always been our story, will always be our story. And now, let me tell you what I promised from the beginning. The secret that few people know about Osiris's death. Here it is. Osiris couldn't fully return from the dead, because once you've touched death, once you've experienced the deepest pain, you cannot return to being who you were before. Death changed him. Pain transformed him. And that's not a bad thing. That's transformation. That's growth. When we go through great trials, when we face unimaginable losses, we cannot go back to being the person we once were. The naive person, the innocent person. That person is gone. And we mourn that loss. But here's the secret. We don't need to go back. We need to go forward. We need to become something new, something forged by fire, something stronger, deeper, wiser than we were before. Osiris couldn't stay in the living world, not because he wasn't strong enough, not because Isis's love wasn't powerful enough, but because he had become something else. He had learned lessons that only the dead can learn. He had gained wisdom that only suffering can teach. And because of that transformation, he was perfectly suited for his new role. King of the Underworld, Judge of Souls, Guardian of Ma'at. He couldn't have done that if he'd stayed the same. His pain had purpose. His death had meaning. His transformation was necessary. And the same is true for you. Whatever you've been through, whatever broke you, whatever pain you've experienced, it's not meaningless. It's transformation. It's preparation. It's making you into something new. You're not the same person you were before the pain. You can't be. That person is gone. But the person you're becoming is more powerful than you can imagine, more capable, more compassionate, more real. So don't grieve for who you used to be. Become who you're meant to be now. After the fire, after the breaking, after the transformation. And now let me share the lessons from this journey. The first lesson. True love doesn't die with time. Isis loved Osiris not because he was perfect, not because he was powerful. She loved him because he was him. And when he died, her love didn't die with him. It transformed.
It became action. It became the force that carried her across a country to find him. Love isn't a feeling you have when things are good. Love is a choice you make when things are terrible. Love is what you do when the person you love is gone and you keep loving them anyway. Love is the refusal to let death have the final word. In your life, there are people you love. Maybe they're still here, maybe they've gone. But if you truly love them, that love doesn't disappear. It just changes form. It becomes memory. It becomes lessons learned. It becomes part of who you are. And that's something death cannot take away. The second lesson. Death is not the end, but transformation. Osiris died twice. Both times seemed final. Both times seemed like complete destruction. But he didn't disappear. He transformed. From a king on earth to a king in the underworld. His death wasn't the end. It was a doorway. In your life, there will be things that die. Relationships will end. Jobs will be lost. Dreams will shatter. And each time it will feel like death, like ending. And it is. Don't pretend it isn't. Grief is real. Loss is real. But remember Osiris. Every ending is also a beginning. Every death is also a birth. Every loss creates space for something new. You don't know what you'll become next, but if you trust the process, if you allow yourself to transform, you can become something even more meaningful than what you were. The third lesson. What we do in life determines who we are after death. In Osiris's hall, every soul must face the scale. The heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, against truth, against justice. And no one can lie. No one can deceive. In death, there's only truth. Only what you actually did. Only who you actually were. This is profound truth about karma, about cause and effect. Every action you take creates ripples. Every word you speak influences the world. Every thought you have shapes you. And all of that accumulates day after day, until one day you'll see who you became based on those choices. You don't need to wait until you're standing before Osiris's scale to know if your heart is light or heavy. You know right now. You know when you're doing the right thing and when you're doing the wrong thing. Your conscience is the scale. Your sense of guilt or peace is the judgment. The question is, do you have the courage to live in a way that lightens your heart? Do you have the strength to make choices that you'll be proud of? The fourth lesson. Justice may come late, but it always comes. Set ruled Egypt for years. It seemed like he would win forever, like evil had triumphed. But Isis didn't give up. She raised Horus. She taught him. She prepared him. Not for days or months, but for years. Patient, persistent. And finally, justice came. Not immediately, not easily, but it came. Set was defeated. Order was restored. The lesson is clear. Evil may seem to win in the short term, but if enough people refuse to give up, if enough people keep fighting for what's right, eventually, justice prevails. Sometimes the work we do plants seeds that others will harvest, but that doesn't make the work meaningless, because justice is larger than any individual. And every action you take in service of justice, every stand you make for what's right, you're contributing to the eventual triumph of good over evil. The fifth lesson. We don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love. Osiris was divided into 14 pieces. He wasn't whole. He was missing a part forever. But Isis still loved him, still searched for him, still put him back together with devotion. Because true love doesn't demand perfection. You are broken. All of us are. We have parts that are hurt, lost, damaged. We have traumas we carry, wounds that haven't healed. And we think that makes us unlovable. But that's not true. Isis loved Osiris with all his broken pieces. Your broken pieces are not shameful. They're beautiful. They're proof of your resilience. They're evidence that you're still here despite everything. So don't hide them. Be honest about your pieces. And let people love you anyway. And now, as we stand here on the banks of the Nile, as the sun rises higher, let me ask you a question. Osiris's journey ended 5,000 years ago. But your journey is still continuing, right now, today. What will you do with these lessons? Will you love like Isis? Will you transform like Osiris? Will you fight like Horus? Or will you let fear hold you back? The choice is yours. Remember Isis, one woman, alone, traveling across a country. Her actions weren't small. Her love wasn't insignificant. She changed history. She created a king. She restored justice because she refused to give up. And you can do the same in your life, in your relationships, in your choices. You're making history, one choice at a time, one act of love at a time. The story of Osiris teaches us that nothing truly dies if we remember it. Nothing is truly lost if we keep it in our hearts. 5,000 years have passed since the ancient Egyptians first told this story, but it survives because it's true. Love is stronger than death. Justice will eventually prevail. Transformation is possible. And tonight, by listening to this story, you've kept Osiris alive. You've kept Isis alive. You've kept Horus alive. Because stories don't die. They wait for people willing to listen. About justice conquering injustice. And that story continues. Through you. Through me. Through all of us. So, sleep well, my friend. Let this story embrace you. Let these lessons seep into your dreams. And when you wake tomorrow, remember that you carry within you the strength of Isis, the wisdom of Osiris, and the courage of Horus. If you want to continue these journeys through ancient mysteries every night, please subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of seekers, of dreamers, of people who believe that ancient wisdom still has power to transform modern lives. Join us. Be part of this journey. And now, before sleep takes you, let me tell you about the next chapter in our journey through the Egyptian mysteries. You've seen Osiris become king of the Underworld. You've witnessed the scale of Ma'at weighing hearts against the feather of truth. You've learned that justice, though sometimes delayed, always comes. But there's a story I need to tell you. A story that will make everything we've discussed tonight even more real, even more profound. It's called The Pharaoh's Last Judgment. Imagine this, a king, not just any king, but a pharaoh, a god on earth, a man who ruled over millions, who commanded armies, who built monuments that would stand for thousands of years. A man who had everything. Absolute power, unlimited wealth. He could have anything he desired with a word, execute anyone who displeased him, take whatever he wanted. He lived in palaces of gold, ate the finest foods, was worshipped as divine. He answered to no one. Or so he thought, because eventually, inevitably, he died, as we all must die, as even pharaohs must die. And when he died, despite all his power, despite all his earthly glory, despite the pyramids and temples built in his name, his soul had to make the same journey as the poorest farmer, had to walk the same path through Duat, had to stand in the same hall of two truths, had to face the same judge. Osiris, the pharaoh who thought himself above all law, suddenly discovered that in death there is only one law. Ma'at, truth, balance, justice. And his heart, that heart that commanded empires, that heart that made life and death decisions for millions, that heart was placed on the scale, just like any other heart. And the question wasn't, how much gold did you accumulate? How many temples did you build? How many lands did you conquer? The question was, did you live with Ma'at? Did you serve your people or exploit them? Did you use your power to help or to harm? Did your heart grow light with compassion or heavy with cruelty? In our next journey together, I'm going to take you into that judgment hall. You'll stand beside this pharaoh as he faces Osiris. You'll see what happens when earthly power meets eternal justice, when wealth meets truth, when someone who spent their life believing they were above consequences discovers that karma doesn't care about your title. You'll witness the moment when everything this pharaoh built, everything he thought made him special, everything he used to justify his actions, becomes meaningless. And you'll discover what really matters, not just for ancient pharaohs, but for you, for me, for all of us who must one day face our own judgment. Whether you believe literally in Osiris and the scale, or whether you see it as metaphor for the accounting we all must eventually make, the lesson is the same. How we live matters. What we do matters. Who we become matters. So I invite you, after you rest, after you've let tonight's story settle into your dreams, come back. Find the next video, The Pharaoh's Last Judgment. It's waiting for you. And I promise you, it will change how you see power, how you see success, how you see what truly matters in life. Because when that pharaoh's heart was placed on the scale, when all his earthly glory was stripped away, when he stood naked before truth, something profound was revealed. And you need to witness it. We all need to witness it. Until then, rest well. Dream of love that never ends. Dream of justice that always comes. Dream of transformation that makes you stronger. And remember, you carry within you the power to live a life so full of love, so full of kindness, so full of truth, that when your own heart is weighed, it will be as light as Ma'at's feather. That is my wish for you. That is the gift of Osiris's story. Good night, my friend. And I'll see you soon, in the judgment hall, where the pharaoh waits, where the scale waits, where truth waits. Sleep well.